Welcome back to Unlocking Our Code podcast. This week, we're revisiting a conversation that changed so much for us and for so many of you. We're talking about new beginnings, but not the cute, glittery kind, the kind that requires shedding, letting go, stripping away the things, the stories, the masks that we've worn to survive, and choosing something new, something real. We're talking about the hard kind of change, the quiet kind, the kind that makes you feel like you're losing parts of yourself, but in reality, you're only returning to you. So today, let's talk about what we're letting go of and what we're walking into. I'm here with Tivi. Hi, Tivi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing well.
How are you feeling about this one?
I feel pretty good because it's we're going to be talking about the episode that is kind of one of our most listened to episodes, which is the new beginnings and letting go.
Yes.
Yeah.
That remains one of our top ones. It's been for a while.
Yeah. So that conversation or that episode has been and was like, I go back and I listen to it and I think about it and I'm like, man, like just to think about where we were at that time,
Yeah, definitely. We've gone through so many different chapters after that. We've learned, we've grown, we've taken step back and taken many steps back sometimes and then relearning. And it's just, it's been just a beautiful journey. And I think that why some of our listeners feel a connection with that episode is because we're all human and we're all constantly going through new beginnings, like you were saying earlier, right? Like if you really pay attention, we are experiencing new versions of ourselves every day.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I feel like that's definitely something that we can say that as a whole, like we're all connected in the same way.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I think that's one of those things that, I was saying, we can't just say like, oh, we just have new beginning once and then that's it, and then but it's like, look forward to more, even though they're scary, right? Because I think we think about like new beginnings and we fear like letting go of the things that, I guess, what we say, our comforts, thing that made us feel comfortable.
Yeah, and the identity. I feel like
exactly.
It's also like we fear to let go of the identity we built in that season and everything that was attached to that identity. Because when we go through a new chapter in life, a new beginning, we are required to not only surrender, right? But instead of surrendering, we hold on tighter. We resist the change, which the tighter we hold on to, the harder the journey becomes, right? So because it's not only, okay, surrender and move on, it's also, yes, in this new chapter, you might lose a few friends, but you might meet new connections that are more aligned with who you are in the moment. But it's just the process of letting go, right? Of letting go of all the old and surrendering and trusting that in this new chapter, who's meant to be with you or the places you're meant to be at, that's exactly where you're meant to be. Just trusting, having so much trust in a new beginning. It's, I think, one of the hardest things to do.
Yeah. No, it is, because you are having to step outside your comfort zone, and you're having to probably things that made you feel like you're being protected, or things that made you feel like you're in your like your safety bubble, your safety net, whether it could be people or it could have been like income, or it could have been a partner, or a relationship that or family. Sometimes, not necessarily family, but maybe like sometimes people don't want to let go because the boyfriend and girlfriend that they're with, the family that comes with them, like you don't want to let go of that, so it's a lot of things that that I feel that give us that sense of identity. Like it makes us feel like that's who I am. How am I going to let that go? And it definitely does hit home for me, because that's one of the reasons why we discussed that in that episode at the time, was letting go of my job and who I was and the identity that I was. And now looking back, I don't regret it once. I think it was the best decision for me. But I remember the fear. I remember exactly how I felt, feeling like I was gonna not have that anymore. And I remember feeling the sense of like the loss of security, and it was just like like I said, like a facade, something that I was holding on to because it just felt like it was the right thing to do. But at the same time, what was I doing? I was miserable. I was hurting myself. I was losing my I was falling further from who I was. So yeah, that's exactly what we're going to be just questioning those type of things.
Yeah, I think it's important that we do, right? Because I think that when we question all those things and we look at all that information, not only does it bring more clarity to who we are in that moment, who we're being in that moment, and what our beliefs are in that moment, right? And so when we just begin questioning, it's just, I think what comes after that, it's truly amazing to be able to question, allow yourself to reflect, and allow yourself to go through the process, because in new beginnings, letting go, new chapters, all that is a process. And it looks very different for everybody, right? For some people, certain processes you could go through them with more ease than others, right? Just depending on where you're at in that moment. I feel like just like almost a year ago, we're all over completing that cycle. I think we completed that cycle, and now you're in a new beginning. I'm in a new beginning, as in a sense of like, now I'm on the other side. Like now my husband has left his 10-year corporate job, and life has looked very different. It's beginning to look very different for us. And like you said, like now I'm having to just surrender and trust the process, and also like removing all those illusions or all those safety blankets that I thought were keeping us quote unquote safe, but they were just illusions, not really real.
Yeah. And how long did he stay wanting to quit his job? Like how long did he torture himself or sacrifice himself, knowing that that's not what he wanted to do, but stayed anyways?
For many, many years. I would say for the last 4-5 years, out of the 10-year journey, he was already like truly, truly unhappy. And I remember him coming one day right before he chose to give his 2-week notice and telling me, I had a person come and ask me, "Are you happy in your job?" And he's like, and he responded, yes, right, in that moment. But then when he came home, he couldn't let that go. He couldn't let the fact go that he lied to himself in that moment. It was weighing heavy on him. And he's like, I lied. I said that I was happy when I'm not happy. And like, who am I becoming? I'm staying somewhere where I'm truly not happy. The environment's not healthy. Like nothing was healthy about where he was at. And he was feeling that at a soul level, not just when he put his notice. He had been feeling that for a couple of years ago, but it takes a while for us to arrive there, for us to make that decision.
But what was holding him back from making that decision? What do you guys think that was the thing that was like, no, we can't let go of this job? I
feel that a lot of it was fear he had already in his mind made his decision, but I think he wanted like my validation in a way for me to say like, just do it.
Like your reassurance.
Yeah. Like all will be well. Yeah. And what was keeping us in that is just holding on to what we could possibly lose if he did leave. You know what I mean? What material things, how is the world, how are we gonna survive moving forward? How are we gonna be on one income moving forward until, you know, he finds whatever he wants to do in the next chapter? So it was just like a lot of like masks, a lot of ego, a lot of like fear that wasn't even real. And we were sacrificing the most important thing, which was his well-being. And it wasn't until we sat together and we said, we have each other. You know what I mean? That's the most important thing. And your health and your well-being doesn't have a price, right? So it was just getting very honest with ourselves about what life we're trying to build. Are we trying to build a life of illusion, of like facades? Or are we wanting to be true to ourselves and who we are and what we're trying to build together, right?
Yeah, and like what are you trying to show your kids too, you know? That work is above all else, you know, that material shit is above all else, that building a facade of who you are is above all else, you know? I feel like that's one of the things that kind of really helped me see and be extremely grateful for where I'm at. I did just start a new job, doing something completely different from what I was doing before, something that I would never in a million years think I'd be doing, like ever. And I really did feel like I manifested this job. Honestly, I literally said I want a job where I first and foremost don't want to manage anybody. It's like I don't want to be responsible for any other adult. That's for sure. And I don't want anything to do with that, but I want a job that's flexible with my schedule, that I can still come home and spend time with my kids, with my family, who matters the most. I want a job where I can still focus on my business because I'm not letting go of that. And I want to feel good going to this place. I want to feel good. I want to make a difference. And I remember telling my husband, I just want like a job like a 10 to 3 or like a 11 to 3, something where I'm like, I can go home before everybody else. And, you know, and I remember he's like, okay, like that's just like, what do you think you're going to do? And I'm like, I don't know, but I don't want to manage anyone. But I want to enjoy what I do. And so I remember scrolling through jobs, and this job, literally the first thing that caught my eye was the location of where it was going to be, which was going to be my old high school, and the hours, which was 8 to 3. And I was like, perfect. And then I was going to have all the time off with the kids, like all the school schedules, right? I was like, this can't be any better. I'm not going to lie. I had no idea what the position was. I had no clue. I didn't even look at the pay. I just said, that's exactly what I want. And then it was more like my husband was like, what are they going to pay you? And I was like, oh shoot, like that's a great question. Let me see. Definitely not doing this for the pay, that's for sure. But when I found out what the job was, what it entailed, what my position was going to be, where I was going to be, I was like, there's no way. And I said, God, like, universe, if this is, I literally found this job posting on the last day. That was like the deadline of that job. It was the deadline was that day. And I remember thinking, do I really want to do this? Like, do I really want to apply? Not that I was thinking I was going to get the job, but still, it was like 10:30 at night, almost 11 when I was submitting the application. Anyways, months later, I get called and I went through the hiring process. And I was just thinking, as we got closer, I was saying, I really want this job. Like, I really want it, you know? Again, I've gotten a lot of people ask me, well, what are you going to be doing there? Like, oh my God, Lou, what are you going to be doing? And I'm just like, I'm just a clerk. Like I'm literally just in the front, like in the office at this building at the school, and I don't have no responsibilities. Like my responsibility is to offer my support to the staff members, to the kids, and I love that. Like not that I love the lack of responsibility, but I love the lack of support that I'm able to give to these kids and to the staff that is helping the kids. And I love what it's done for me, for my family, as in giving me the time back, because that's all that matters to me. Like it's no longer the salary, it's no longer the title, which was everything to me, which was the reason why New Beginnings and letting go was so hard for me, because I had to let go of a salary, I had to let go of a position, I had to let go of this fake facade of who I was and who I thought I was and who I thought I wanted to be, but yet I was dying inside. Like I was just not me. It wasn't me. And now I feel like this is me, and I don't give a shit about the money. Like I don't care. Like I don't care what I get paid, whether it's peanuts or it's good money or whatever. It doesn't matter. Like this is where I want to be. So far, I'm only almost 3 weeks in. And I'm so thankful. I'm so grateful every single day. I'm like, I was supposed to be here. But look, I'm 40. How old am I? 41? I'm like 41 or 41.
You're an age with the 4 in the
front. I'm 41, right?
I think
so.
Yeah.
Or maybe 42. I don't really know. But it took me this long, you know? It took me this long to be where I want to be, and where I feel like I really this is where I want to be. I'm not chasing anything else. I'm not chasing convenience, luxuries, and it's just not for me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's for a lot of people, but it's not for me. And if you ask me if I feel successful, I'd tell you, fuck yeah, I feel successful. I really do. I think that comes from inside, from reaching your true, genuine, I don't know.
Like your most authentic version.
Yeah.
At this moment.
Yes. Like being in tune, like finally I'm like aligned, you know, I'm finally aligned, and I feel like I've mentioned before, I feel like I don't lack anything. I don't need anything. I'm not missing anything. I'm not wishing I had something or didn't have something or whatever. And that's because I was able to stop, I guess, like puppeteering. I'm no longer nobody's puppet. I'm not trying to perform. I'm not trying to perform for anybody, you know? And this is me. Like, fuck, if you don't like it, I don't really care. But it's just that to me had been the best new beginning and letting go, and it just continues to be new beginnings, because I feel like the further I go into like learning myself and getting more in tune with myself, and when you start to become so aligned with yourself, you learn so many things. Like, oh man, like look at this, like I do enjoy doing this, or I enjoy doing that, and I'm actually doing it, and it feels so good. So that to me was probably one of the best things, is being able to say, I don't care about the material stuff, I don't care about the positions, the titles, I don't care about the money, I just want to be happy.
Yeah, it sounds like you're no longer serving the ego.
Yeah,
you're serving your soul, a higher purpose, you know, and no amount of hourly pay or whatever can give you that, other than alignment, authenticity, and feeling peace and happiness from within, right? We're no longer chasing titles, we're chasing alignment, authenticity, truth, right? And that couldn't be a more powerful place to be at, because when we are always chasing a title, money, or just like to give our ego the pleasure to have the validation it's seeking, we end up in places where we're not happy. We end up not only in job places where we're not happy, but also from that, everything branches out. Connections that are not serving you, doing maybe things out of your character that you truly wouldn't have never done if it wasn't because of the position, quote unquote, you have. So it's like being in that place and arriving at that place, it's just pure soul alignment. And that's beautiful. That's success.
Yeah,
right.
I think so. I mean, I never felt that. And I was in a, whatever, if you want to call it, what they would call a successful career, whatever. It didn't feel like one. It sure didn't fucking feel like one. And so I feel more successful now than I did back then.
Yeah.
And things were way different. But yeah, I think like on one question that I feel like that I want us to discuss is, how do you personally know when it's time to walk away from something, from someone, or from a version of yourself? And I want to reiterate very much so, because I'm not only want to talk about career paths, even though we dealt with that, but also from someone. From something, from someone, or from a version of yourself. Like, how do you know? When do you know, like, okay, it's time?
That's a hard question, because as humans, we thrive on holding on. We just, for some reason, like, it's almost like our own medicine becomes like a trap in a way, right? Because we thrive
poison.
Yeah, because we thrive on attachments for some reason, right? Although it's unhealthy for us, but I feel like when we're ready to let go of something, someone, a version of ourselves, this is like what I've experienced in my journey. When I've been called to let go of people or to let go of patterns, because it's like you said, it's not just a job or a relationship. It could also be a pattern. It can be very much a pattern that you've been on for many, many years, or a toxic relationship with a family member, which is what has came up for me this year. For me, I've been asked to let go of patterns, very unhealthy patterns that I had. I've also been asked to let go of identities, and also of like relationships with my family members that were unhealthy, right? And the way I knew that it was time to let go is I was not my authentic self around them, around that person. I was not my authentic self. I was holding my truth in when I was around them. And also the pain was becoming unbearable more and more and more every single day. And as the years went by, I felt like this pain was ready to just explode out of me, right? And it was because it wasn't necessarily the person. It was that I wasn't letting go, and I wasn't being honest with myself about how I felt. I was protecting the other person's feelings instead of my own. I was betraying myself just to stay comfortable, or to protect that person, or to continue in this toxic relationship with them. And I think that pain is what led me there. The unbearable pain that I had, now being authentic around them and holding my truth back. When I seen that I was in that pattern with that person, I was like, something's really wrong here. Something's happening. But the more I held on, and the more I try to say, oh, no, everything will be fine. If I just do this, things will get better. If I just don't say this, maybe things will change, right? The more I said that, the more the universe was showing me, you gotta let go. You gotta let go. But my identity that I had attached to that person was very, very difficult for me to see it. And when I did choose to break, to rupture it was extremely painful. And when I did feel the pain and the grief, I understood right there in that moment, I understood why I had been holding on, because I was preventing myself from feeling the discomfort, the grief, the tears, the pain. If I just kept going, I didn't have to feel none of that. But when I decided to rupture, man, it was like living in hell for months, feeling fine one moment, and then in 5 moments just like collapsing all over again, and like that. Right? So that's how I knew, like, for me, that I wasn't honored. I wasn't honored as who I was in front of this person. And because I wasn't honored and I had to wear a mask in front of this person, that was alerting me that there was something dysfunctional happening for me.
Yeah. Like you feel that you're doing things outside of character, and you kind of go back and say, like, why did I do that? Or why does my body feel so, like, I think it physically, when you're around someone who's just not for you, I think you can physically feel it too. You know, not only are you making decisions to mask or to be another person that you're not supposed to be, or you genuinely want to be, but I think your body can sense it too. You know, you get stressed, you get anxiety, you feel drained around this person. You feel like you're walking on eggshells. You feel just uncomfortable, like, oh my God, here they are again, you know? And so, yeah, I think all the flags are there for everyone. You know, I think for everyone knows, like, when it's time. But I think the fear of what's coming next, or not being able to see what's around the corner, or knowing that, man, this is going to be a very uncomfortable moment, or I'm going to break the peace. And that's what kind of keeps us there. And whatever it is, in the relationship, in the workplace, you know, that's what keeps us still there, or not being able to set boundaries with our family members. It's all of that.
But if you really think about it, that's not real peace. It's an illusion, because peace is when you can speak your truth and be held and loved, just for being you. So when we are, in quote unquote, like, pretending in a way that it's peace, and in reality, under that illusion of peace, it's a fire. It's a fire that if you don't tend to, right? Like, for me, that's how I felt. Like, if I don't tend to this fire, oh my God, it's starting to burn things around me. It's starting to touch people I love. And that I was not willing to go through. You know what I mean? Like, for some reason, I was willing to betray my own self and put up with it, me. But once it touched my loved one, I was like, oh, no, what's happening? That made me wake up. So the pain will get as intense as it needs to until we make the decision. It'll just get as big as it needs to.
I believe that. Yeah, for sure. I do think that it starts with us, and then mentally, emotionally, and eventually physically, it starts to, like, come outside of us, and it oozes into other people. Yeah, so that's how I feel. I think that that was, even though it was one of the hardest moments I've ever had to deal with, I'm extremely thankful. I have a good question here. Have you ever mourned a version of yourself that you had to let go of, or had to let go of in order to grow? Have you ever mourned?
I recently did, about June. What are we in, August? 3 months ago. I had to mourn a version of myself that was in a very unhealthy pattern. And I was actually in a very unhealthy pattern with my own mother. And I had denied that pattern for many, many years. So when I chose to break off and choose myself, I had to let that version of me that was in that relationship with her. And it was very, very hard. Like, I think out of all work that I've done, and I've been doing inner work for about 5 years, I think that as far as grief, that was the hardest one so far.
Yeah.
That I've had to go through.
Yeah, I'm sure. It's the mother wound. So yeah.
Yeah, and I had to, like, not only, grieve the version of me that was in that with her, but now choose myself at the same time. Set very, very, not hard, but like, I would say boundaries out of love for my own self. And just life has been very different since. Yeah. Life has not been the same since I did that. It has not at all. Like, life for me, when it comes to my relationship with her, it has changed completely 100%. But it was not easy to grieve.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly the reason why I wasn't doing it, is because, well, one, I wasn't fully aware that I was in a pattern like that. And then two, because I was avoiding to feel that much grief, but because that was very intense grief that I had to feel. It's going to be
deep. You have to go really deep for that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, no, for sure. I think in these versions of new beginnings, and I feel that everything has been, from what this last episode was from the last episode, which was, what was it, in October?
Around there.
Right? It was in October when this episode came out of New Beginnings and Letting Go. Man, so much has changed since then. New beginnings for me has been, growing my business, starting a new job, which was scary at the time. Also, not only because it was a whole new industry that I was going into, but because I literally had to, like, sit with myself and say, I think I'm ready to go back into the workforce. And it relived, like, I had to relive all the moments again of, like, being in the workforce, which I can honestly say I have PTSD about being in the workforce.
Yep, I do too. I have moments when it comes back. Yep.
I'm just like, oh my God, working gave me some pretty serious PTSD. But now that I'm there, I feel that I think one thing I've been struggling with is not, like, struggling with doing my role and feeling like I'm enough, like if I'm doing enough. So all these feelings still keep coming back to me, like, am I enough? If I'm doing enough, did I do it right? Am I, I want every second of my time to be filled with something. I have to be doing something. I have to prove myself. That still plays in my head. I'm still fighting that. I'm still fighting those fights. Another new beginning for me is having a kid out of high school and being a parent to a young adult now, or a new adult. That's a new beginning. That's a scary one. And letting go of the kid version of who he is, of the kid that I used to take to school and check his grades and see how he's doing, and now having to let go of that. I think I've been really struggling with that. Because that's a whole new journey for me, a whole new chapter that I'm just like, like we talked in the last episode with Coach Leo. That's been a struggle for me still, and I'm trying to navigate that. It's a beautiful beginning, though.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't. It's beautiful, but it's so scary. It's had me in tears. It has me second doubting myself. It has me questioning myself as a parent. But deep down, I know that he's gonna be okay. Like, I know that my son is gonna be okay. Like, but right now, everything, it's like, it's so new to me. So I feel that new beginnings everybody should just look forward to them, instead of fearing them, being scared of them. If you lost if someone lost their job and they're afraid to, like, what's going to happen to them next, if someone is like struggling with like a relationship that just ended, or a marriage that just ended, and they're afraid to let go, they're afraid to move out, they're afraid to like go through the divorce, they're afraid to like, you know what I mean, to all these things. Or like, trust. I know it's hard to say, but trust, you know. And I think that's what's kind of kept me together, that I trust, that I have so much faith, that I know that that, you know, even starting a new job in a whole new industry is scary as shit, but I know that I'm gonna be okay. Like, I know deep down inside I'm gonna be okay. So it's just all the emotions that are here right now that I have to deal with. I know that my son going into the adult world, I know that he's gonna be okay, even though I'm fucking scared as shit right now for him, you know. Same with my kids, you know, starting their new school. It's a new school year. And so I just feel like, I don't know, I just have this sense of peace, and that deep down inside I know that everything's gonna be fine, that we're where we're supposed to be, but allowing to, you know, not getting so caught up in the emotions and the emotion part. I think before I didn't have that faith, I didn't have that sense of, you know, before it was like, what's gonna happen? And, you know, you used to hear me, and what about this, and what about the house, and what about like the stuff, and like, this is my title, well then who am I, and then what about this, what's gonna happen to us, what's gonna happen to my kids, to my marriage, like, to, you know. And it's just, I didn't have no sense of peace. And because I was so afraid of change, I was so afraid of the what if, of the what's next. I was so afraid of what people were gonna think, or just dumb shit like that. But those fears just don't, they creep in, but they don't stay.
Yeah, and that's why we have to begin to have like a strong foundation, like a purpose and a meaning of why we're doing what we're doing, right? Like, in knowing our priority, like having our priorities so like strong and like almost like a mantra for life, that when those thoughts do creep in, we remember what matters, right? Because if tomorrow a child, or I always think of it like this, if tomorrow my child or my husband got ill, would I care about anything else? Like about my job, about my cars, about this, about that? No, nothing would matter. You would drop everything you have going on to just focus on that person, right? But we don't have to wait for something horrible to happen to focus on what truly matters. I remember 10 years ago, you know, before I came to this job, when I was in the other company and I lost that job, I remember months before I lost that job, right? I remember we were going through a big dark night of the soul, me and my husband, me as a person individually, and in our marriage. And I remember one day just talking to God and saying, you know, I don't know how we're going to fix this mess, you know, because when you're in the middle of the mess, it's like you can't see a way out. I remember saying, I don't know how I'm going to fix this mess. All I know is that what I want, and this is what I want. And I said it out loud. I'm talking to God. I'm in the parking lot of Target, and I just park and talk to God by myself right there and then, right? And I say it out loud, and I say, I want to be with my husband. I don't know how we'll fix this mess. I want to be with my children, right? 2 months after I say that out loud, boom, it's like a storm comes in my life and removes me from everything. Every single person I knew, every title I had, every like ego, anything attached to my ego that kept me on the old identity, that kept me from being focused on what truly mattered, removed in one day. I had no job. He didn't have a job at that time anymore. We had nowhere to live, right? And in a second, just by understanding like I don't have nothing, but I have the most important things, I just narrowed on that. I focused in. I have him, and I have my children. And then somehow in that moment, you feel like, I don't need anything else. Like, this is the most important thing, right? And then once I got the new job that I got, it was just me at peace in stillness. I have coworkers, but I don't have to manage them in that sense. You know what I mean? It was me, God, and my husband and my children. So then that told me, this is what matters. Why would God come and remove everything else, but leave me with just my children and my husband, right? So while my mind can get preoccupied of like, oh, and the money and the housing and all these things, yeah, those things are real, but trusting that the storm is not always here to destroy you. It's actually never here to destroy you. It's here to collapse all the old, because I asked at a soul level that I wanted something different. So in order for that new thing to come in, I had to let go of life as I knew it, right?
Perfect example.
And it was very hard, like you said at the beginning, because I wasn't having to work hard. I wasn't having to like be in chaos like how I was before. And I couldn't understand how this could be my new life. I was like, this is weird. Why is my world quiet? You know, where it begins like feeling weird.
Peace is the unknown. A peace feels like uncomfortable.
Very.
Peace feels uncomfortable, and you start to question yourself as a human. Am I enough? Am I doing enough? I don't feel like I'm doing enough. I feel useless. I should be stressed. I should be hustling. I should be busy. I should be like, you know, oh, I have so many things to do. And I'm just a busy bee, and I'm just, you know.
And I would try. So then because of that, I would try like busying myself out of work, because I was like, okay, if I can't be busy at work, let me go find this other project to jump into. And I would jump onto other projects to keep myself going, right? But then even when I did that, it was removed again.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, clearly I'm not like getting the message. Something's going on, right? And I discovered that what I was afraid, like in me, in the quietness of my day-to-day now, because now my world was looking very different. You know what I was really afraid of? It was stillness. That's what I was afraid of. That's what I learned in my journey. Sitting with myself, listening to my own thoughts, I was afraid of that. And that's why I kept going. And that's why I felt like I had to be busy and that I had to have projects, because I was so afraid of being with myself, with my own self at peace. I didn't know how to do that. And that was scary. It scared me to be by myself with my thoughts and like
your feelings.
It was just so weird. Emotions. Yeah. And then one day after I surrendered and I went through the whole, because it took me years to be able to like balance myself out and like find gratitude in my life. Once that happened, I started hearing God. And how can that not be a miracle in your life? How can that not be where you're meant to be? Stillness feels uncomfortable because we've normalized chaos, because that's all we've known. But chaos is not normal. Us being busy 24/7 is not normal. It's not, even when that's the program we've been running on. It's not normal to be busy 24/7. It's not normal that when your body tells you need to rest, you push yourself. It's not normal. It isn't, but we've normalized it for so long just to keep running from our own self, right?
Yeah.
And in the process of this, of the collapse as life as I knew, I learned that I was just running from me. I was running from stillness. I was running from quiet, because as dumb as it could sound, chaos had represented some type of safety for me. It's all I've known.
It's what our nervous system was used to.
Yeah. So yeah, it's
because our nervous system can make us feel safe, even if it's chaos, even if it's abuse, even if it's danger, even if it's all these terrible things. If your nervous system is used to that, if that's what it is like has seen, it's going to tell you, yes, you're safe here, even if logically like this is not good for me, but that's what somehow you're just going to keep going back to, right? And I feel that that's where we were. Like, our nervous system was used to chaos. It was used to being busy. It was used to, you don't rest, you don't quit, you keep going. Even if you're tired, you figure out what to do, how to do it, keep going. And then you're applauded for that. You're applauded for being, oh my God, you're nonstop, girl. You just are always on the go. You're always this, you're always that, you're everywhere. And it's like, what are you doing to yourself?
I heard, I don't know if you've ever heard of Dr. Gabor Mate. He's like been one of my favorites that I've studied for a couple of years. And he says in one of his, I don't know if it was like a documentary or like one of his books, that he said that we, being restless is something that we have like normalized. He's like, if you see in the newspapers or if you see on articles that they make about people that pass, he was talking about this doctor who had who was a hard worker and like just worked and worked and worked and served and served and served all his life, and he got cancer, and he passed away like a day before. Like, I think he was working like the day before or a couple days before, something like that. But he was recognized on an article for working all while he had cancer, while he was terminal. He was praised for that, right? But he was never, we praise that instead of praising the fact that it's okay to rest when your body's asking you to rest. It's okay to let go of things that no longer serve you. It's okay to let go of the identities, right? But so that reminded me of that, how it's so true. We praise hard work at the cost of our own well-being. You know what I mean? And then we repeat it, because like in my case, we were repeating it. I repeated that 10 years ago. I clearly didn't belong in that place anymore, but I was holding on. And then we repeated it with my husband. And now we're like, now when we talk about him going back and finding something, we talk about alignment. We talk about things that where his soul feels guided to. We talk about those things. We no longer talk about how much money are you going to make there, and none of that, right? It's more like, will you be happy? Will you find? We're searching for something. He's searching for something that feels good within him. No longer just working just because, without purpose. That's what kills a lot of like the soul's peace, is that we stay in places where we're not serving a purpose anymore. We're just serving the ego. And when we're serving the ego instead of our soul or our purpose, well, we feel dead.
Yeah, we start betraying ourselves. I feel that's how I felt. I felt like I had betrayed myself. I didn't know who I was, like who I wanted to be, but I know that that's not who I wanted to be. So I felt like a self-betrayal, and that's what it is. That's what it came down to. And that's what it is when you don't let go of what no longer serves you.
There's so much beauty in embracing the new, right? And maybe in that moment, you can't see it.
Can't see it, yeah.
Right? Because obviously when something ends, you feel like this is the end of me. It's part of being human. I don't think there's anyone that hasn't experienced it. But if we just switch our perspective to like, it's the ending to those identities, and it's okay to let go. It's okay to release.
Or if they want to see it as the ending of that chapter, you know what I mean? It's the ending of that chapter to start a new one, but it's not the ending of anyone. So that's just the beauty in having the faith and believing and not trying to hold on to something that isn't even you. I think that's one of the most important messages that I feel people should really try to embrace. People should really try to think about it and, have some sort of like, let me think about this a little deeper and let me consider what am I doing that might be going against who I really am, or what mask am I wearing, what facade am I playing, what, I think that's what we should be asking ourselves, because I do feel that it slowly starts to kill you inside, and that's where I think like mental health issues start to come in. You start feeling anxious, tired, no energy, depression, and people don't really know why, and a lot of it has to do because you are lying to yourself. You're forcing something on you that is not for you anymore. And although as scary as it is, and it is painful sometimes, but it's okay to say that version of me is no longer here anymore. But I'm excited of what's coming. This new chapter is here for a reason. It's taking me somewhere. Like you said, it's gonna rip. It's gonna feel like something's being ripped from you, and it's gonna be painful, and you're gonna be questioning it, and you're gonna think that this is it, this is over, I'm never gonna be able to recuperate. But no, it's just the ending of that chapter. Turn the page. Let's keep reading, or write your new story, It's things like that. I know people hear it. I know it might sound like cliche, but when you're living in it and when you're really embracing it, it just feels like, yes, 1,000%. It feels amazing. It feels great to be in it.
And the more inner alignment you have, the more outer alignment you will find, because everything starts within, right? And I think that one of the most important messages I could share in this moment is to normalize to serve your soul. Yes. To stop normalizing to serve the ego. And to ask yourself that question, who am I serving right now? Am I serving my soul, or am I serving my ego? And being very brutally honest about the question, about the answers, the questions themselves, and taking that responsibility of like your own life, I feel that a lot of times I had a dream a couple years ago, right before I started my awareness journey. And I had a dream where my mother-in-law, who's deceased, she's passed away about 10 years ago. She came into my dream and she told me, you need to wake up and you need to live in purpose. And my first reaction to that comment, even in my dream, was, what do you mean? Should I go back to school? Should I change careers? And she looked at me and she pinched me in the dream and she says, you need to live your life with purpose. And I was like, what does that mean? I don't know what you're talking about. Now I know exactly what she meant.
Oh man.
That I was not living. I was just wearing masks, chasing false titles. I was keeping myself numb, busy, not feeling, in unhealthy patterns. And it's why at a soul level in that time I felt dead inside, And now I think back and I'm like, I'm so grateful for that dream, because it truly, I began questioning what's purpose. Without that dream, I wasn't even questioning that. If you can find purpose, even in the smallest thing, right? You will find yourself again. Whatever it is, whether it's drawing, because you reconnected to a part of yourself that used to like to draw. That's purpose. If it's serving your community, if it's whatever that is, doing something with purpose that makes you feel alive. We forget that we matter. We forget that we also, that our dreams matter, that everything we once desired matters. You know what I mean? And I think that reconnecting to purpose it's one of the most beautiful things to do, finding purpose in whatever it is. Whether for me in this moment, purpose is talking to you guys on this podcast, right? Writing sometimes, sharing a word of wisdom with a stranger that comes to me and starts telling me their life story, and then I hold space for them. Like, it could just be something simple. It doesn't have to be anything like, oh my God, I gotta do this huge thing, you know?
Exactly. And that's the most beautiful part, when you find that you're doing something with purpose. It feels so fulfilling. It's like a calling to your soul. It's like, it just brings you back home, and then you're like, oh my God, this is who I am, you know? Like, I didn't even know this about me.
Yeah.
So for sure, I think this reliving this episode again, but in a definitely in a different new beginning than we were back almost about a year ago, and seeing, like, in hindsight where we were, what our new beginnings were back then, what we had to let go of, and then now we're just like, oh my God, look at what our new beginnings are now. And you know, just like, again, you know, it's just one of those things where it's never ending, right? So I think to our listeners, for sure, something for you guys to reflect upon is a question that you can ask yourself is like, what are you willing to let die so that the real you can rise? You know, that's a question that you can definitely go and reflect upon, because definitely letting go isn't a one-time thing. It's a practice. It's a choice that we make in small moments every day to no longer carry what was never meant, you know, I guess, to come with us. Like, it wasn't for us. It was not meant for us to carry throughout our lives. So whether it's a version of ourselves that we have outgrown, a relationship that has run its course, because a lot of people don't want to let go of relationships either, even though they run their course. They're still trying to hold on to, because it's their comfort. It's their comfort zone. I live here. We own a home together. We have kids together, which is the worst reason to stay in a relationship. But for whatever reason, you know, a relationship has run its course, or an identity that has kept you safe, but it's kept you silent.
God.
You know?
Yeah.
We have to know when to honor that, when to release it, and when we have to choose something new. New beginnings don't always come with clarity. Sometimes they come with grief. Most of the time they come with grief. They most likely will always come with fear, with the unknown. But you can always feel that you'll have a new sense of freedom, a new sense of truth. It'll be in alignment. So wherever you're at, you know, in your journey, whether you're mid-leap, mid-shed, or mid-rebuild, just know that we see you, that we're here with you. We're there, right there with you. We're going through these as we're literally speaking right now. We're super thankful that you guys have stuck around for this long, for this episode, that you guys continue to listen to us. And you don't need anybody's permission to rebuild, to restart, to remember who you are. You can just do it. You're allowed to begin at any moment, at any time. You're allowed to even start small. Start with shedding one thing that you know no longer serves you, and then see what else comes after that, you know?
Yeah, for sure. And always remember that new beginnings, that new beginning that you're praying for, it's going in return ask you for the unhealthy attachments. It's also going to ask you to let go of things that you've been overdue to give, you know, to let go of. And yeah, it's gonna, like you said, it's gonna come with pain, it's gonna come with grief, but you are strong enough to get through it. You just have to remember that. You just have to remember that you're strong enough. You could do this. You've done this before in other ways, maybe not in the same scenario, but you've done it before. And your body remembers that strength. So every time that you need that strength, your body goes back and it remembers. The nervous system remembers that you're strong and it pushes you through. So it's just remembering that you can get through difficult things. Just how we can accept joy and happiness in our life, we can also get through very difficult things. We were built for that. That's the beauty of being human, that we're just resilient. We are stronger than we can ever imagine. It's just that the mind sometimes tries to keep us dimmed because of the programming, because of the old belief systems. But just trusting, right? Trusting, following the inner guidance is always key to just pushing through these moments.
Yep, for sure. But yeah, I mean, thank you so much for everyone, for all our listeners, for sticking around. You guys know where to find us at Unlocking Our Code Podcast. And see you guys on the next one.
Bye.
Bye.